It is Thursday, December 12th, 2024, and this is a daily brief. Kadyrov is planning on sending potentially 84,000 volunteers to Ukraine, but I'll get to that story in just a moment. Let's start here. 1,390 Russians off the battlefield, 6 tanks, 28 armored fighting vehicles, 5 artillery systems, 54 vehicles, and fuel tanks. So it's high tempo, but not nearly like the last 2 months worth of tempo. So it's yeah, we'll see. We'll look at the battlefield in just a little bit. Now there are 2 Russian Kh-5969 missiles that were lobbed at Ukraine last night. No drones, and that could be a good thing, but it could also be problematic because when the Russians don't send a number of drones, if they're sending at least a dozen or 2 dozen drones at a time, I feel much more comfortable than when they don't send any. Because sometimes when they do this, I'm not saying they're doing this right now, but sometimes when they do this, they're saving up for a rainy day to send a big blitz of 100 some odd to try to overwhelm defenses. Okay, today is a day of the Ukrainian land forces, the most numerous and powerful branch of the army. Along thousands of kilometers of the front line, warriors from the land forces stand united in the defense of freedom. The motto is "For Ukraine, for its freedom." It's a continuation of a centuries-old tradition of the struggle for independence. Congratulations to brave warriors. Victory will be ours. Okay, there were explosions in Kursk. I don't know much about them. I just see a little bit about this here. Large explosions in Kursk, Russia, as Ukraine delivers latest late-night shipment of karma. Don't invade your neighbors, and life is much more calm. So I can't tell you much more about that. Can tell you about this: destruction of a non-analog. That is, there's nothing like this. Zupark 1M counter battery radar system. This just happened this morning. It's worth 25 million and it's not supposed to look like a puff of smoke. So there's that. Russian military warehouse hidden in an abandoned home was discovered and destroyed by the Ukrainian army. We also have Russian Telegram channels posting this video. Reportedly, it shows a drone strike on a building of the 2nd Regiment of the Ministry of Internal Affairs in Grozny. That's in Chechnya, and that's what caused that 84,000 threat that I was talking about earlier. Large explosions where the Akhmat 2nd Regiment is located in Grozny, Chechnya. And so Kadyrov is not happy about that. Kadyrov's response to a Ukrainian drone strike on a barracks in Chechnya was 84,000 volunteers who are now ready to go to the front line if ordered. So he likes parading around and looking strong. But 84,000 Chechens, that is going to be one awesome TikTok video. This is a previous TikTok video from Chechnya as well. So just so you can see the scale, the enormity, the strength of mighty Chechnya. Russian army advances further in the Kursk region. They have made some ground. There's no denying that. Geolocated footage indicates that the Russians have advanced south of Novoivanivka in the Kursk region. This is stated in a new report by the Institute for the Study of War. Let's go to the frontline analysis and look at just like the degrees of where the threat is. Zaporizhzhia region, there was 1 attack. In the Kursk region, there were 2 enemy assaults that failed. In the Seversk direction, invaders attacked Ukrainian defenders. That was singular. And then you also saw on the Bakhmut front 2 attempts by the Russians to advance on Chasiv Yar. In Horlivka, invaders stormed Ukrainian positions 5 times. In Kharkiv direction, 6 times. In the Lyman direction, Ukrainians repelled 10 attacks. Kupiansk directions, invaders attacked Ukrainian defenders 14 times. Romika direction, Ukrainians repelled 19 attacks. Pokrovsk direction, invaders led 39 assaults. And so you're expecting to hear more about Pokrovsk. In Kharkiv direction, invaders tried to advance on Ukrainian defenders 47 times in Kharkiv. So, and Kharkiv and Pokrovsk are the 2 places where we know the fighting is thickest. Okay, so the ISW recently assessed that the Russian command has resumed offensive operations to seize Pokrovsk, coming at a massive cost to the Russian manpower and equipment. One Ukrainian brigade officer reported that Russian forces lost nearly 3,000 personnel in the Pokrovsk direction in just 2 weeks. So the fighting is thick there. Russian forces may well continue making gains toward Pokrovsk, but the losses they are taking to do so will temper their ability to translate these gains into more far-reaching offensive operations. Okay, Russian telegram channels write about the outcomes of the war for Russia so far. Outcomes of the war: destroyed Donbass. Russian troops remain stuck and the Ukrainian border villages wiped off the face of the earth. The Black Sea Fleet is destroyed. Part of the Kursk region is occupied. The economy of the country is at the level of Zimbabwe. Well, not quite, but it's going that direction. Russian troops are kicked out of Karabakh and Syria. The international reputation and image of the country and the Russian army are dragged in the mud. Losses of the army are counted in the hundreds of thousands. And Russia is filled with migrants from Asia. Well, they have to do something in order to backfill. Well, they have to do something to backfill the loss of manpower from the war. Okay, breaking. Macron arrived in Warsaw, where he intends to discuss with Prime Minister Tusk the possibility of deploying peacekeeping forces in Ukraine after the war ends. I'm not sure that this is going to be well received by Moscow. I don't think Putin wants anything like an international European peacekeeping force in Ukraine. That would be worse than Ukrainians in Ukraine from Putin's perspective. Having all these international forces on his border is worse than just having what he started with. So we'll see how that all plays out. Gabrielis Landsbergis, the Lithuanian foreign minister, his job ended today. He's rotating out. Somebody else is coming into that position. He says, but the global fight for freedom goes on. My small country has taken a big role in this battle, and your support has been a huge part of that. So I thank you all. But I'm not retiring. I decided to escalate. What does that mean? What's he running for? If anybody knows, put that in the comments below. He's done a great job as foreign minister. I would love to see him come back in another role. He's done a great job. Now, the EU has approved its 15th sanctions package against Russia, targeting 45 tankers from the Shadow Fleet and over 80 individuals. Every time I see this is the 13th, the 14th, the 15th package of sanctions. I'm thinking, why wasn't more of this done sooner? Zelensky sharply reacted to Hungarian Prime Minister Orban's phone call with Putin, saying, quote, we hope he at least refrains from calling Assad in Moscow to listen to his hour-long lectures as well. That was a quote. Today, it became known that Orban called Putin to discuss the war in Ukraine. Now, Orban expressed interest in promoting a joint search for a political and diplomatic solution to the war, while Putin complained about Kyiv's destructive line. So why is Orban reaching out about peace talks? Well, this is Dmytro Litvin. This is President Zelensky's communication advisor. In response to AFP's question, good evening, could we please get a comment on Orban's statement claiming that President Zelensky allegedly rejected proposals for a Christmas ceasefire? Oh, okay, there it is. So Orban was reaching out here because he's wanting to talk about a Christmas ceasefire to make himself look better or to look like he's trying to be a peacemaker or something along those lines. And now I understand. It's not about a lasting and just peace. I get it now. Okay. Reportedly, this is Syria. People stomp on Putin's portrait. Okay, so that's what's going on there after Syrians are now free. And they're doing even more to pictures of Assad, I'm sure. Now, Jason J. Smart posted this. Jake, that's Jake Bro, has raised millions of dollars to support Ukraine, and his YouTube channel is one of the best for Ukraine war-related news. Great work, Jake. Well, he's talking about this. Jake Bro just wrapped up his community Christmas fundraiser. It's now closed. They've raised $1,231,337 for Ukraine, and that's awesome. Great work, Jake. Okay, two last things and we'll be done. So while I'm at home in a sweater with my nice mug of tea, these guys are doing this. Walking through a river up to their waist. There's snow on the ground. I'm thinking, wow, mad respect to these guys. And then finally this, in Ukraine, people gathered to kneel one last time, paying their deepest respects to a fallen hero. Just watch what the people on the side of the road come out to do when they realize this funeral procession is coming by. They all come out and kneel in respect. Glory to the heroes. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.